Hi, Jinke. Thank you for joining us here today. For our audience, first of all, I would like to introduce our guest. So, he graduated from VNIT in 2014. He is one of the co-founders of our very prestigious IvLabs, which is a club at VNIT. He completed his master's from Carnegie Mellon University and currently works at Field AI. So, Mr. Ajinkya, can you please describe what is Field AI and what work did you do here?
So Field AI is like an upcoming startup based in Southern California, and we basically provide inspection and automation services through embodied AI, specifically locomotion. In layman's terms, what it means is we have robot dogs on which we put our own sensor suite and our own autonomy. Basically, we call it the dog's brain, and then use that to move around places like construction sites, oil and gas facilities, to provide images of the general area, 3D maps, so that remote inspection of these sites is possible. And other applications include security, looking at gauges to see if the plant is running well, and all sorts of things where remote telepresence would be needed.
That sounds interesting. So, our main motive behind this podcast is to know more about your journey at VNIT, about your friends, your motivations behind starting this club, and also we should have few great laughs in this podcast.
Yep.
So, first of all, I would like to start with what motivated you to start this club?
So, this is back like a decade ago when we were in our undergrad, and we were working towards this competition called FIRA, which is soccer for kid-size humanoid robots. So you have FIFA, and this is FIRA. The R stands for robots. While working for that project, we realized that in order for the institute and everyone else to take us more seriously, we needed something formal, and hence we went and spoke with Sheetal ma'am and Bhurchandi sir, who came up with an idea of just having kind of a lab where students can come do their projects, and we start with this particular competition as the foundation. So the whole idea behind starting this lab basically was to give students a platform where they can do research, where they can learn more about applying the skills that are taught here at VNIT through our lectures.
Okay. So, as in your journey at VNIT, you should have made many projects, many memories. Are there any innovations which are very close to your heart, like you feel like, this is?
So, my final year thesis project, the snake robot that can walk, is going to be my favorite. Not only because it's a new concept, snakes generally don't walk, but also in order for us to make that robot, we had to go through a lot in terms of logistics, raising funds. The only reason we ended up with making a snake robot was because we were not able to procure enough motors. So we were set out to make a humanoid robot, which would require us like 20 motors. We could only procure 9. And then looking at those 9, we were like, hey, what robot can we make? And that's when the idea struck that, hey, we can make a snake robot. But then we need to, we want to do something where we want to study legged locomotion. So can we make the snake walk? That was the question. And we got the answer. So that is something that's like very close to my heart.
Okay.
So, yep.
Definitely.
So, you have studied both at VNIT as well as Carnegie Mellon. So, what similarities or differences could you find in the research culture and approaches over there? Also, were there any moments at CMU which you brought back your memories of VNIT?
So, comparing Carnegie Mellon to VNIT would be comparing apples to oranges. Just because here I was a bachelor student and there I was doing my master's. And when you're doing your bachelor's, you're supposed to have like a breadth of knowledge, and then masters, you pick one and you go straight and work towards that. So I wouldn't really compare and contrast my time with CMU versus VNIT, but I would rather talk about the things that I liked over there. And one of the good things that I liked over there is the bond between masters and bachelor students that is there. So typically, master students have gone through everything a bachelor student has, and they are better able to guide in a local setting a student as opposed to profs. And at CMU, bachelor students would readily go approach master students, and they would also readily help. Something I think is lacking here. So I would really urge all of us to, all of the undergrad community to go and talk to, their master's counterparts and the PhD counterparts, and just keep the channel open, have dialogues, talk to them about the papers they have recently read, or talk to them about their research, which will help you guys like understand the state of the art better. So that is one culture that I saw at CMU, which I think we would really benefit from. Apart from that, the memories of staying up late night is there throughout that student life for you, wherever on this planet you are. If you want to be good, you have to stay up, you have to put in the hours, and then you get the rewards.
If you could leave one piece of advice in every fresher's handbook here at VNIT, except from just connecting for masters, for those who are aiming for top global programs like Carnegie Mellon, what would it be? And also, what is something they won't find in admission books?
So one thing you guys won't find at all in admission books, in my opinion, is maybe they might have put some of it there, but it's keep a very close eye on things you consume. Okay, and when I say consume, I do not mean like ingest through your mouth or inhale kind of things. Not talking about that, but through your eyes and your ears. So we have a lot of places where we get our information nowadays. Cell phones are pretty prevalent, and what I have seen is we have good platforms for learning. For example, on YouTube, you can actually have your feed be full of political nonsense or some weird prank videos or something like that, which is fun, enjoyable. Or you could have it full of the science side of YouTube. If you are into electronics, there are great blogs that literally go tear open things like an oscilloscope, TVs, computers, what have you, and just go through the entire circuit. You have similar things for programming, where there are what do you call them, streams, where people just go take a problem and spend like an hour or two just typing away and telling people, hey, I am building this particular program and this is how I am doing it, and they're simultaneously typing. Same, they take someone's code, refactor it. You have other great channels for like people maybe who are interested in chemistry, biology, guys like Nile Red. Such options are there. So I would urge people to move their feeds, their social media feeds and things like that, towards this part of the internet rather than the traditional instant dopamine kind of internet. And that would really not only help you gain more insight into what's going on in the general tech sphere, but also it sometimes just ends up being so much fun, because these are entertainers after all, and they are really, really funny at times, engaging. So that is something I would really suggest people to do.
There are many engineering students that want to pursue robotics and AI/ML. So, what are the important skills in your opinion that should be as a mindset for any engineering student pursuing robotics and AI/ML? And was there any particular failure in your journey which you thought that taught you more than success could ever?
So, when it comes to robotics, and this is particularly true for not just robotics but any engineering domain, but I think more true for robotics just because it's more interdisciplinary than any other fields, is to aim for a T-shaped journey. So, what do I mean by T-shaped? A T looks like this. It's the straight, broad line, and then one narrow this. So be good at everything, but be great at one. So I have consulted a bunch of people, a bunch of students here, and some of them are like, "Sir, I don't want to, I don't want to study maybe how to do some embedded system, or I don't want to study AI." That's not the right approach. You have to touch those things one by one. You don't have to be great at it. You don't have to write papers on it, or you don't even have to like complete a full course on it. Okay, just understand, talk to your friends who are working on it, and you should be at least conversant. Then pick one thing that you like and do a huge amount of push towards that. Now, how do you pick that one thing? The only way to do it is basically, in my opinion, is serendipitously. So, what do I mean by that? Lucky coincidences. You get an opportunity to work in a field, you get a project, for example, and you work on it. Initially, you would be like, okay, this is fine, it's just another aspect of robotics. But as you do one project in it and you have overcome that initial barrier of, oh, this is just another aspect, to, oh, I'm good at this, is when you can then go in deeper into that field. Because what I have typically seen is most of the people who are into SLAM, for example, have actually done a project in SLAM in the past. Without that, there's no way you're going to basically, find one good passion. So you don't find your passion, you develop it, is what I would say. As far as failures are concerned, math, biggest one. My journey to CMU was a bit atypical. I was in the industry for some time working on hardware. So I had I had lost touch with the math side of things. I wasn't that great. And when I actually went to do my masters, I figured out, oh my god, I've forgotten a lot. I don't remember these notations, these equations. So keep on practicing your math. And this is also especially true for undergrads, because I think after your second year, you're pretty much done with your math side of things. So those 2 years would be the same 2 years or 4 years that I spent in the industry where I wasn't completely in touch. So unless you guys pay special attention to that, you're going to have a lot of problems. And I'm listing it as a failure because that actually let me made my time in masters like really difficult.
So, how has your understanding of robotics changed or evolved with the time before early days of VNIT? Like, were you interested in robotics from your childhood only, or you like to play with hardware?
So I liked to play with hardware, but robotics was something that I wasn't really interested in pursuing till my third year. when obviously I got this opportunity to work on a humanoid robot as a project. And this goes to my previous point where I'm like, hey, you guys, most of the people, they work on something that they've already gotten opportunity to work at. Like most of the people find passion over there. As far as how robotics has changed, its growth is exponential. Since I joined like this field, there are so many disruptive technologies that have come in. Hardware is getting cheaper, which means access to robots is becoming more democratized, which is leading to new research, especially in the software aspect of things. And when I say software, I mean intelligence. So when I joined, if you would say AI, it would mean something that is something like graph based planning, or something like research and stuff like that, A star, blah blah blah. And now it's completely changed. It's fully machine learning based approach. Most of them are machine learning based approaches. Basically statistical methods are being used a lot. So that plus hardware being cheaper is like the field has completely changed. So yeah, I would say cheaper, faster is now robotics research.
And how has your definition of success changed along with it? Like since your time at VNIT and now, what do you see the difference in the definition of success?
My definition of success is still kind of similar. I'm more of someone who is interested in industry rather than research. And my definition of success has still remained the same in terms of how many man hours did you save because of your robot?
Okay.
So yeah,
That's great.
So how is building robots in industry different as compared to any academic environment like IvLabs of VNIT or even at CMU? And even has there been any recent challenge in your industry which reminded you why you actually fell in love with robotics?
yeah. So the big difference. So when you look at an engineering domain, there are typically two subdomains there, or two broad categorizations. One would be the academia, and the second would be industry. What the academia does is research, whereas the industry does more of engineering. Now I'm talking in very broad terms here. There is overlap and stuff like that, but the main focus of the academia is to prove that to come up with new concepts and prove that those concepts work. So for example, I would say you guys are making a new quad rotor plus glider system, right? You're doing academic research here. You will have to prove that this thing can fly and glide for some time, and then the glide distances and the heights it can fly, your time of loitering, all of those things, based on your different configurations of the motors, where you place them, blah blah blah, is research. The engineering part of it would be, hey, can you now do this in the rain? Can you now make sure that when this thing glides, it can also land and then again take off? Sure, how many hours, how many flights can it do? What happens if suddenly one of your subsystem fails? Do you need triple redundancy? All of those things is basically what the industry does. So that's basically. What was this part 2 of your question? I forgot.
Has there been any challenge in your industry currently which actually reminded you why you fell in love with robotics?
Yes. This is more of why I fell in love with engineering rather than robotics in particular. But then obviously my engineering journey did start with robotics. So for me, robotics and engineering is like in practical terms the same. We had a lot of problems with robustness when it came to the robot brain that we were developing, and working through those challenges basically reminded me of my Systemantics days, which is basically my first job, where again we had vibrations, we had belts breaking, we had to like run hours and hours of continuous tests. So it's pretty mundane, the things I'm talking about, but that is something that really interests me when it comes to engineering. So
What are some of the new exciting things happening in robotics and AI? And is there some futuristic idea that is sci-fi right now, but you believe could be happening in the next decade or so?
So when it comes to robotics, there are two things. One is the intelligence, and the second is, so basically when we say embodied AI, you have embodied, which is the actual body, embodiment, and the AI part of it. So both of these things are right now just going gangbusters. When it comes to the embodied part, hey, we now have feasible human-sized humanoid robots in the field that are being sold, plus a great deal of legged automation, something which we would not have even considered in like, I would say even 2018. So since 2018 till 2020, just 2025, in the past 7 years, we have legged robots going from a novelty that go on stage and people go crazy to now, especially at the construction sites where we work, the laborers over there, they're like, meh, the guy comes in every day and just does its job. So from that's the huge change when it comes to legged automation specifically. When it comes to the AI part, with like the new foundation models and stuff like that, that's happening with LLMs, and merging LLMs and robotics. You have, things like easy manipulation of grasping, like easy planning of grasping objects. When I was working in 2018 to grab unstructured objects, which is basically how do you make a robot grab a tree trunk? It's a very surprisingly difficult problem because you don't know the geometry of the tree trunk without doing a laser scan. And laser scans are not always accurate. And even when you do those, the robot doesn't know how. If this is the trunk, it doesn't know if you need to hold the thing like this, like this, like this. But now it's very easy with these new techniques. So both in terms of AI, with the new machine learning based techniques, and with hardware becoming cheaper on the legged locomotion side, there's robotics is pretty much exploding right now.
And what is something that is sci-fi right now, but you believe that it could happen in the near future?
Sci-fi right now, but I think could happen in the near future. Yeah, I am not 100% sure what that would be as of now. But if I find something out, yeah, I'm gonna invest in it. So I don't know right now.
So this is a fun question. Just imagine if you meet with your fellow co-founders or any friends in the past. So what will the conversations be now in the current scenario?
So I don't really have to imagine this because we are still friends. We still hang out. I crashed at one's place like what is it? 6th of April. So I flew back to India like in February, and just before that I crashed at his place for 5 days. So it's basically just typical mundane things, day to day, probably gossiping about friends, common friends, or just some random news that happened. State of the world is pretty laughable right now as is. So.
Now, how has your personal life affected your professional life? And if it has, how have you dealt with it?
So typically it's the other way around where my professional life, because I mainly work in a startup and we have to work a little bit harder than other people, rather than not harder, more uncertain than other people. There are times when I am spending more time at work rather than home. There are cases I have seen, it hasn't happened to me personally, but where, maybe due to your parents' illness or something like that, your professional life takes a back seat. And I would say I'm fairly certain that if something like that happens, I would, take, I would sacrifice my my professional for my personal life. So I really don't have a good answer for this because I don't really have that kind of an experience till now. It's just through vicarious uh, experiences of my friends that I can talk to you about it.
Now, you live in America right now. So, how do you manage with your loved ones being in India?
It's pretty difficult. You have to basically the modern world is a miracle of technology, and you can instantly talk to people uh, all the way across the world via video call and stuff like that. It's also a little bit of when I was in VNIT, we did not have such instant communication, not through video especially. So a little bit of it is basically the training I got here, which helps you be more verbose and connected just over voice.
So, is it better to work in a startup or a multinational company?
I would be heavily biased towards startup. I have mainly worked in startups with only slight passing. I would say, hey, I've worked in a big multinational kind of an organization. In a sense, I've worked with clients who are big multinational organizations. I would say hands down a startup, especially uh, early stage startup is an ideal, not even early, a mid to late early stage startup. Basically, somewhere around the start of Series A would be one of the best places for anyone to work at. Not only because you get to experience the engineering behind all the products, but also you get to understand the kind of cash flow issues and how do you raise money, how do you go talk to investors, how do you market yourself. Those kind of questions are freely floating in front of you. I am pretty sure none of my friends who have exclusively worked as engineers in a multinational would know how a business cash flow actually works unless they have done their own studies separately. So as far as that aspect goes, I would say startups, especially ones you think are going to that have good fundamentals and are going to make it, working like over there is pretty awesome. I would recommend someone who has already worked in a startup to go get their experience in a multinational, just because startups do not always tend to give you a good insight of the engineering processes that are required to build a product that is already scaling. So to get that kind of knowledge, I would say, hey, you can first do some startup, spend 2 years, and then move on to a multinational for some time if that's how your career is, progressing. towards, like that's what you want to do, basically, is like find a new job and do things that way. I would say that would be a nice way to do it.
Also, what are your views on building your own venture?
I would building your own venture is something that every single engineering student has thought at one point of time. In my honest opinion, doing it right out of undergrad is something that I would say is a pipe dream, for good reason. Building a very strong startup, especially Silicon Valley style venture capitalist backed startup, VC fund backed startup, is something that requires you to have some good need you to have good credentials, good name already in the industry, and also you need to have a good command over your team in terms of being able to effectively manage a very lean means team that can deliver at like a 10x rate. Something which is very difficult for an immediate fresher, as people call them in the industry, to do. Ideally, if you, as I told you, join a startup, get to know all the cash flow stuff, get to know all of these things. You might also find some contacts with a bunch of VCs. After that, you can do a startup. Maybe spend some time in between at an MNC, get to know the processes at scale, and then go ahead. Because one thing, if you are thinking of doing a startup immediately out of college, मेरे को बस एक चीज़ बताओ, GST नंबर कैसे लेके आओगे? If you can answer me that, I think you are at least 5% there. Okay. So yeah, that would be my answer. Patience, slow and steady, you'll win the race.
I would like to continue the question.
Yep.
This is my personal question I would like to ask. Don't you think startups in India exploit employees?
Startups everywhere exploit employees.
Like working conditions and low salaries?
Low salaries is not necessarily true. Even MNCs exploit employees. Okay, so startups, MNCs all exploit. I wouldn't say exploit employees. I would say try to get as much work done or as much profit. Optimize their investment in you, is how I would put it. But I would say salary wise, in my opinion at least, because I have worked all my life in a startup and I have been paid more than my fellow MNC friends. Just one aspect of that is an MNC can come and tell you, hey boss, the job is stable. I have a brand value. If you don't come and join, someone else will. A startup pretty much, and also they have HR departments that have a well-oiled hiring pipeline.
Yes.
A startup does not. So if I apply for a startup and they like my resume, they have already burned through enough cash that I can go and negotiate with them a higher salary, and that is what has happened every single time. So I don't agree with you in terms of money.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for this amazing podcast. We gather so much information from you. We would like to have you for some more time here, but we also hope that you visit IvLabs more often.
Yep.
As a founder. So yeah, thank you for this amazing podcast. Hope our audience also gained some insights from it and liked it.
Thank you guys.